Hello everyone, good evening. Hope everything is okay with the chat and with the live stream. Glad to be at the clavichord again and drinking some tea to start practicing the Sinfonias. So, as always, just 5 minutes welcoming you and telling you about what we are going to do this little hour, and then in 5 minutes about we're going to start practicing the Sinfonias today. So these live streams Thursdays at the clavichord are really great because it forces me to play the clavichord. When the pianoforte was here a few months ago, so obviously that was a huge impact, had a huge impact, so to say, in my daily life as a musician. So, but the clavichord is really close to my heart. So, and now focusing on the Sinfonias, this feels really great. Just saying hello to you, Tom and Rastislav. Great to see you. Dark is here. Joseph. Sounding good, that is fine. Well, that's great to hear. I'm only using these two microphones here. So no microphone for my voice. It's a little bit easier to set up and I hope it's okay. And by the way, we're going to play a lot today. Aesthetic at Giboy. Hello. Certainly mispronounce your name or YouTube name. Basilios is here. Great to see you again. Costas. Great to see you as always. Gilberto from Mexico. Tom is also from Mexico. So, well, not originally, but you'll find out in the chat, I think. Okay, so for those of you who would see this later as a replay, and also for you now in the live stream, just in a few minutes what we're going to do, a few words. So we finished basically the fingerings of the Sinfonias, and so it's practicing time. And what I'm going to do now is simply totally forget you're watching and practicing as if I was completely on my own. To be honest, I will be practicing a little bit more focused, because that's also one of the great things about these live streams. The concentration level is really high, or higher than normally. Actually, it should be always like that, but you know how life is. We're all humans, right? So I was thinking about just starting with the last three, so 15, 14, 13, and then maybe start all over again from number 1 or 2, whatever I feel up to. So 30 or 40 minutes, and then come back in the chat for you if you have something on your mind. Ricardo, just great to have you. Simon, Julian, Contador from Chile. Great. Time for elimination. Aesthetic Edgy Boy. Okay. That was the correct name. Yeah. My computer screen is too far away. So tiny little letters. And so I will be practicing. That's important to remember. I will not be playing like... We had some live streams with Beethoven where I felt comfortable enough to give you a first impression of the piece that I'm working on. And so some pieces, like for instance that Beethoven sonata, that's a piece I'm playing for a longer while. So I'm just giving you now a snapshot, so to say, of how the piece is at that moment. But for the Sinfonias, they are completely fresh. So I sometimes will play them very slowly, as I often do when practicing, and just listening to the voices. Try to be as relaxed as possible. And then sometimes you'll see that the tempo is adjusting or finding a balance on itself. And I let that happen. And so from time to time, I might comment on my own playing of things I'm thinking of. Sometimes I might just playing. So these live streams, these practicing sessions, they can have a different character of a different, how would I say, setup every time. We see how it goes. So hope that's okay for you. Okay. De Bayona is in the chat also. Okay. Yeah, okay. Hope you have a great time in the chat. So Anya, that's my wife. She's also in the chat, and a little bit moderating if necessary. So, and another Raif from Brazil. Great. I shouldn't forget about my tea. It's Twinings tea. You know why I drink Twinings tea. They supported J.S.Bach in the 18th century. There's a video on my channel on that. Some of you certainly will have seen that. And I thought it was a great story, just to see that Twining's family, still the 10th generation, I think, today. In the 18th century, Mr. Twinings was a huge supporter of C.P.E. Bach. Was a friend of, was the guy who wrote his musical tours in Europe. I would say it 1,000 times, but you know what I'm talking about. Those were related, were friends, so that's for another time. So let's start with number 15. Play it very slowly, and as said before, I'm just practicing here. I turn the last page and there are all kind of numbers in pencil written. I have no idea when. So 0.4 meter per second. I have no idea why that's there. Okay, there we go. This B minor piece is just unbelievable, as many of these symphonias and inventions. So that will be one of the next projects. We have Clementi Sonatinus, Mozart Munich Sonatas. I'm working now on actually a complete setup of the Beethoven project, which is huge actually. It will be over 10 years, but just have packages that we can work to and we can really practice to, so to say, so to record that. Okay, let's just drink some tea. I don't know, but tonight I'm really thirsty. So there we go. Stupid page turn. So I give everything certainly enough time now. And I was just, so most of the week I'm playing the piano now. It's only in preparation of these live streams that I start playing the clavichord. Though I must say, for Beethoven project, the variations he made, I'm not going to detail here. Certainly the early ones, they are just brilliant. And I'm thinking of recording them on the clavichord. The clavichord gives such a special, color to those pieces. And so I did play a little bit more clavichord, but I was practicing this a little bit before the live stream. This is really tricky here, and I was thinking this is... So you have here, the D is in common, again, again. And for a moment I was thinking this is written for two manuals, but that's not the case, because you have three voices that need, the middle voice needs the right hand and the left hand alternatively. So it's really meant as an exercise on one, it's very pianistic actually. So you end the Sinfonias, the invention in the Sinfonias, and on the very last page comes something that's really new as a technical exercise. So now I have to do it like this. So just giving accents, I think. What I also like already is the difference in articulation between the theme, which is a little bit more rhythmical. I'm not saying that there's a right tempo or whatever right tempo, but on the other hand, it's contrast. Beautiful modulation, just unbelievable. Try to do that correct. Actually, the note that's in common, the D, that's the note that's the one. It seems to be so that the D is always in common, right and left hand. That D is tricking the things, it's making the things difficult, but actually that note is helping you. Like support. Certainly Bach was looking here for a way in which he could technically make this difficult, but in a way still workable. It's actually, it feels right when you play it like this. And this reminds me on one of the Passione, you know, this is such a dramatic moment. you heard how beautiful this C sharp is here in the bass. Clavichord sounds so great there. Trick if you have figures like this. So here, for instance, you have 3 times the D sharp, and here F sharp, F sharp, F sharp. So don't play them all alike. You have to make a differentiation. And on the clavichord and the piano, you can obviously also work with dynamics, but on the harpsichord as well, you have to make a differentiation. So make the first note longer, so that you follow the rhythm, and then suddenly this figure, this motive sounds more important, more interesting actually. You see the difference? Or just a little bit. So on the F sharp, so listen. And now a little bit time. And so just when you leave those motives, or you give those motives just a little bit of time, then suddenly you have a dialogue. Also notes like in the bass here, on the lowest voice, so an 8 note with a dot, so dotted H note. Don't make it too long, just give it some space to continue. So if you make it too long, this happens. It feels like very, and now with a little bit more, just a little bit, release the note gently. Just wait. I could play this piece for hours, just looking at the chat now very quickly and drink some Twinings tea. Yeah. Anya answers, I never played without score. I used to play without scores in conservatory, you have to, piano class. But I never felt comfortable with that idea. Too much of a control freak, and so when you play from memory, you have to get comfortable with, practicing those things, memorizing music. You can do it in several ways, and you have to do it, so make sure that you, not going to detail here, but I never felt comfortable, certainly for the Baroque music and up to Chopin actually. It was not a practice also in those days. So, well, I could play this for days actually, and then the piece would develop. Let's just do it one more time. And so also here, you start almost in a kind of mystical way, I would say. It's very solemn, so it's very serious also. And then suddenly you have this curtain, so finishing that beginning in a way that it enhances that effect in a way, but also it makes room for another of such sentence. So this one. So this brings this beginning so nice and balanced. So let's see if we can do something with accentuation here. I was just thinking on something. Not too, yeah, a little bit more over legato. If you don't know this piece and you play this for the first time for someone who's never heard that, he gets a heart attack here. This is unbelievable. So from B minor just to A major. Okay, why not? Enjoy the C sharp. Should make a copy here. Also here again, so these 30-second notes, they add, I don't know how to describe that, certain life. But this motive, this rhythmical pattern is so strong that when it takes over again, you in one way feel at ease, so to say, it's like expected. But on the other hand, you again feel this kind of, it's a little bit scary actually too. So this, again, this modulation. That is such a great piece. Okay. B flat major, what do you think? Hello Mike. Pablo. Skooma Cat. Yeah, it's a beautiful piece. This is such a beautiful piece. This is live, Mike. I'm really talking now. So, yeah, premiere and live, those are two different things, but anyway. So, let's do number 14. See what I still remember from that piece. This is more dense. This is a little bit more complicated in terms of polyphony. Okay. I think. I don't get these bars. This is something happens that I don't understand. This modulation is so when I hear such modulations that are unexpected, not unexpected in the way we were talking about in number 15, but unexpected in another way, like unexpected. Because you have the A here, and then so when I run into such things, so modulations or whatever, I typically have the reaction of slowing down a little bit, because, and it's not only always right, because I cannot think fast enough to process that information. And if you cannot as a musician, if you play, process the information that you want to communicate, you shouldn't be surprised that your audience is not paying attention to what you're doing, because they will not be able to listen or to process things that you're not processing yourself. Hope that makes sense. So let's see what we can do here. So, okay, also this is a kind of weird. Okay, the way he continues to E flat major is of course total surprise. and that's where he's heading for. So let's see if we can understand it. Yeah. There is a sudden modulation here to reach that point of E flat major. Okay. Feel how this makes more sense suddenly, and I really don't know why. A little bit too fast for me now. So that's a difficult passage because the voices, the three voices are really out of it. I mean, they're really separate from each other. And the key in playing this is to give every note its proper length, because you cannot just make one note shorter because you need to jump in the right hand or left hand, whatever. So if you have a note pom, otherwise such complex polyphonic passages become really incomprehensible. Also here, accent, accent, accent. How this starts to build. I mean, it's fascinating to see this develop, and honestly I cannot say what I'm doing. It's just listening to the motives, I guess, and giving the motives its right time, and well, it's hard to explain, but you can see almost the building of these voices on top of each other, like from very compact and like invisible also for me, and suddenly there is room and air in between. this is on the edge of being too fast, but I kind of like also this way of movement forwards. So let's just try it from the beginning, see if I can play the notes from the beginning in this tempo, or just this intensity, I would say. Again. Somewhere, and I still think now I have a problem because I still think it's too fast harmonically, but somehow I feel trapped in this tempo, so there's no way I can escape tonight from this tempo because it's in my system. And so let's stick to that tempo and see what we can make of it. It feels right on the other hand as well. Certainly in this passage I have the feeling it's too fast. Technically that's difficult as well, but I miss those notes because I don't want to give in on the length of the notes of the upper voice. So when you go down here, the high D, I don't want to play it like this because tam pam ta da dee. Left hand here also. Da, 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 dum, this is not finished yet, really not. I have to let this go for a while and just, okay. Yeah, Doug is writing, the tempo is good, would be slower, would be draggy. That depends on how you play that, because if you would change the tempo, here, you would have to find another balance, so everything changes again, articulation, phrasing and all. That's the reason why once you have this flow of tempo like I have now, just trapped into that. And if I wouldn't try another tempo right now, it probably would feel like you describe. And so there's a lot of information now. That's at least how I practice. So like now, this is like in number 15, I think we discovered some elements that develop on its own, but there is a kind of direction that I like, and I think maybe we change that over time, but right now I think there's a balance. Here, not yet. But there is so much information processed now that just I literally have the feeling that when you then go to another piece, to close the door of that room of this B flat major, Sinfonia number 14, and you know, sometimes when I wake up, and probably it's the same with you, you hear those doors open and close again. So this music is constantly playing there without you actually consciously knowing that, and that's great. So once you have the feeling that you reach that level, that it develops from its own, so without you interfering, just let it. And then next morning you might be surprised what the outcome is. That's a great thing. The most inspiration, so to say, I don't believe in inspiration, but the seeing the truth, or seeing the balance, or seeing the direction, comes from not interfering consciously with the things you're doing. It just comes from processing in your brain, without thinking about it actively. Not always, but you know, it's complicated. Or maybe I'm complicated, it's possible too. Sinfonia number 13, A minor. this piece you can hear, I think, is suddenly developed on another level. So I feel much more comfortable in, I mean, the notes are there more. I mean, we practiced this piece, I think, a few weeks ago, really deeply. And so you see what the result is. This piece simply developed while not playing it. And this has a certain, I would say that it sounds more mature than the other ones. So I'm happy with this. The beginning, I think, was really good. Heavily accentuated on the first note. And then this second, this trumpet motif. So again here. Now, talking about tempo, and I'm now just surfing, so to say, on what I feel is right. There comes a moment where I'm going to check that from within the notation, and that's not simple because we're talking about very minor changes that you can apply. And in a further future, I might even check Czerny's tempi because I think they're really good. But not now, certainly not for Bach. Certainly not for Bach. Let's see the time. It's 9:20. I don't know, but last time I think someone of you asked for the C minor, the second one. I don't know who it was, but I will try that as a closure for this live stream. And then I come in the chat. If you have something on your mind, just type it in now, and I will scroll back to the chat in a few minutes. I was trying this piece just before the live stream. It's a really difficult one. I mean, that's with all these runs, and they are not really comfortable on the keyboard. So just let's try this as an ending. Again, this piece is really not finished. But I thought, if I remember well, that the remark was, I don't know if I read that correctly, that this piece maybe is, you had a hate-love relationship with that, I don't know, but this is really a mind-blowingly beautiful piece. So if you have a hate relationship with that, reconsider that, because you have to find in this piece the absolute beauty. Okay, let's try it. Also the tempo, never mind. Yeah. So Beethoven project, Bach project. Oh, yeah. So I hope that this piece again gains a little bit of love. If you have a kind of difficult relationship with that, this is just simply unbelievable music, and I will make episodes of these Sinfonias. Actually, I would love to have a series on. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that great YouTube channel of Rick Beato. He's a great guy, I think, and his channel is really unbelievable. And so I regularly watch episodes of him, and he has this very, very nice series of what makes this song great. And I was thinking on writing him, on making a pilot episode of what makes his music great, and just ask him if I could use that title. But because there are harmonically and rhythmically in these pieces only that, even harmonically only, and the way Bach is using timing harmonically to just bring, I mean, that differentiates him from so many other composers. It would be great to make a series of episodes on that. Beethoven has the same kind of artistic capacity, Mozart, Haydn, Clementi even. I mean, yeah, it's a great composer, but they all have such these powers, these creative powers to see where things need to change or needs to, I mean, and it would be great to share that with you. And these Sinfonias are just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Adam asked, would you consider doing a similar series with the Handel suites? I have looked at the Handel suites. I would really love to do them because it's great music. But it will be for in a few years, I think. There's so much going on now. I have to focus on Beethoven. There's Bach, and defining the projects that we're going to do is really important now. Also for the recordings that we're going to make, and also for me to allow me to practice those things, because there is too much music and to be played. So Handel, yeah, and certainly, but not now. It sounds great on the clavichord, by the way. Doug asks, do you practice hands separately? Very rarely. So only while making fingerings, and then slowly. So that's the key. When I play the organ, yes, I do. Certainly in the trio sonata or things like that, that's really difficult. But normally not. But if you need to do that, just because of your level of sight reading or whatever, please do that. It's not a bad practice. But go very quickly to two hands together, and I think it's preferable to slow down your practicing speed than to practice separately from a certain level on, because you need to get used to this motorical interaction between the two hands. That'll help you very much later when you play the piece at the tempo you want to build in this safety. Motorical feeling is really important. So A major next time. A major is number. Doug asks for the A major. I was going through those. I think you asked another time as well. Number 12. So it's this one. this A is out of tune, and I know which one it is. It's a new string. It's already 2 years on the clavichord, but it will never fit in. That's always a problem, changing one. Okay. So what I forgot to mention, stupid, I was not thinking at the beginning, but if you would like to have this fingerings and this score to follow, they're uploaded on Patreon. So I not wanted to push you to Patreon, but on the $5 level, tier level, you have them as a bonus. So the complete Sinfonias. And I will copy my fingerings because I was thinking on just presenting it on my web shop. But yeah, although this is just a reprint from the first Bach Gesellschaft Ausgabe, so edition, I don't think it's allowed to just offer that for, I don't know, a few dollars on my site. So, but I can copy the fingerings, write them over, and it would be nice exercise, and just have them on my website from the original first Deutsche Bach Gesellschaft edition. So that might be interesting for you if you really would follow my practicing with my fingerings, because the next weeks we're going to continue here. I really want to bring the Sinfonias on a certain level that perhaps we can close a chapter for a while and then reopen that later with the inventions, record them for CD, maybe vinyl if we have the room for that, and re-record them again in the old chapel for YouTube, so that we have 2 separate recordings later this year. That was the A major, the Skumakat, number 12. 2-year-old string is new, yes. Oh, you can still see it. I don't know if you can see. No, not on the screen. It's this one here. It's less corroded than the other ones. But it's true, if you have once a string, and this one snapped because my tuning hammer was on the tuning pin, and Evelyn was climbing the stairs and accidentally touched the lid of my clavichord, so it closed. And actually, lucky the tuning hammer was there, because if the lid falls really on the clavichord, the soundboard is so sensitive it might break. So the tuning hammer was there in between that movement, so to say, but the tuning pin broke. So that's the reason. Time for elimination. Thanks for the stream. Thanks for being here. Oh, Doug, if I don't continue, I have to go wash dishes by hand. That's a good exercise, actually, but it's bad to play afterwards. Okay, so guys, hope you loved this stream. I'm happy that technically everything went okay. So Monday, I will be sitting there at the big piano. Feels big if I come from the clavichord, and we will be playing the F minor, last part of Beethoven. And I think hopefully that will be a fun session, and I hope to see a lot of you will be there. So still a question? Yeah, Mike, about the fingering. Yeah. You might want to, Mike, might want to go through those practicing sessions with the Sinfonias. I've uploaded the complete series of 13 old sessions. They're technically not really great oftentimes, but you can see really from close. Was awkward setup with 3 webcams, so you have to ask Anya once. I cannot repeat those sessions like that. It was really too much going on. But there you can see really me explaining why I choose that kind of fingerings. So De Bayona, how Joris and I met was really with an organ project. Yeah. So that's the project we're doing in Leuven. I've made a video on that a few months ago. You see me standing in front of, in the back, an organ, an empty organ. That's that project. And I'm project manager of that project. So that's an international, I mean, there is a lot of things going on. But let's see, year 2006, I think, I was preparing visits from the artistic board to the organ builders, and which one we would choose. And so I met Joris for the first time, and there was a clavichord, and yeah, that was really like the sky was opening and angels were singing. I've often told this story. I think it's also on my YouTube channel. You have three videos on my life story, so to say. Yeah, I think they are there too. But that was a really great moment. And so we drove home, and Anya was saying after 30 minutes, Wim, pull over the car and just call to yours that you want to have one. And 6 months later, this was built. So I see Jan Rot here. Great to have you. Yeah, on the end of the. So Julian, you ask, have you a piano 40? Yes. Go over there. It's an 1820 friend. So go on the channel and you'll see a lot of videos. Now some videos, and there's another one coming. Yeah, that's a wonderful instrument. Yeah. Okay, Mike, the overhead camera is really good for seeing your hands. Yeah, you know, I can do that when I record a session. For a live stream, you don't want to know what trouble you have when adding a second camera to a live stream. Synchronization is awful. It's measured in milliseconds. You can imagine how difficult it is. So I have the camera over there. It's either me in the picture with the clavichord and everything, or just the hands. So yeah, one has to choose in life, you know. Debayona, should remember your name. Debayona, no problem. There are 750 videos on the channel, so if you have missed a few, I don't blame you. But I think there are in a playlist. If you click on playlists, it's a kind of creation story. It's advised that you do that on YouTube, to just tell your life a little bit. And I think it's important when people want to get to know each other. So, okay. Oh, wait a second. Anya's saying something that I should read, I think. That's how he got the clavichord, his first love after me and the kids. So you feel pretty sure about yourself, right? No, it's true. It's my second wife here. On a different level, on a more aesthetic level, I guess. Okay, now it's too late. I mean, I'm starting to talk all nonsense. So, guys, I thank you for being here with me in these practicing sessions, and hope to see you Monday again for the Beethoven. And have a good day or night or whatever on where you live. So, depending on the place, on the planet where you live, I think it's fascinating to see all of you from the 5 continents actually all the time. So that's great. So have a nice day, and we see each other very soon again. Bye.